Today we are going to use order of operations to help us simplify some expressions. And so let's take a look at what order of operation is. Well, the first set of operations that we need to do is anything within grouping symbols. So we're always going to take care of grouping symbols first. Now, oftentimes we see grouping symbols as just parentheses. But sometimes we also have other types of grouping symbols. We could also have some grouping symbols like brackets. And brackets just have a box to them, boxy looking type of shape. And so brackets might look like this. We have these type of symbols. And we also have fraction bars. Fraction bars can also be grouping symbols, along with those parentheses as well. Well, after that, number 2 would be exponents. And so once we've cleared the parentheses, we move on to exponents and do any work with exponents next. After that, we have the third is multiplication and division. And when we do this, we always work from left. So from the left side to the right side. If we don't do that, we'll end up making an error. And the fourth is addition or subtraction. And again, same sort of thing. You got to work from left to right. So once we get the order of operation down, grouping symbols, exponents, multiplication, division, working from left to right, addition and subtraction, working from left to right, then we can go ahead and simplify these and get the same answer each time. So we'll first start with this multiplication, and we could also do the division at the same time because there's a plus sign between them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 350 divided by 5, and so 5 goes into 35 7 times, and bring up that 0, plus 12 times by 7 makes the 84. So I was able to do those both at the same time because there was an addition sign between them. If I had done the multiplication, then I would do this division, and then eventually I'll add them together. And that's what I'm going to do next, and I end up with 154 as the answer. Over here, we definitely have to do the exponents first. And we have to do that before we do any division, and then finally we'll do the subtraction. So the common mistake is people will end up doing the exponents first. We'll get 32. And then if you end up subtracting 32 from 532, you get 500. Then you could also divide by 4, but you end up with the wrong answer. You see, what we really need to do next is divide, because that's what order of operations says. You always divide and then do addition, subtraction last. So now we have 532 minus 8. And then we do the subtraction from these two numbers, and we end up with 524, which is a different answer than what we would have gotten if we had done the order of operation incorrectly. Well, in here we have to do the parentheses first, do the work in the parentheses. So bring this 3 out. Now the 3 right next to the parenthesis means to multiply. So we're going to multiply eventually. Do the exponents first here. So 20 minus 16 plus the 7. So we go ahead and do that subtraction, and we have 4 left over. Well, when we have parentheses with no number, just one number inside, and then another number right outside, this means to multiply. So we're going to multiply that. We get 12 plus 7 gives me 19. So over here, we'll do the work inside the parentheses. I can do both of them at the same time here. So I've got 4 plus 4 times by, and then do the work in the parentheses here. So that makes 4 minus 2. So I did the exponents first there. And then 4 plus 4, and you can use this dot for multiplying, or you could just put the parenthesis on the outside. 4 minus 2 gives me 2, and now I have to multiply first. So a lot of people will just add 4 plus 4 first, then multiply by 2, but then you get the different answer than what we'll get here. And so, and actually in this case we would have gotten the same answer, but it doesn't always work out that way. Well, nope, not this time, because we have to add, not multiply, and we end up with 12. And so you see, if I had added first, I would have had 8. 8 times 2 would give me 16, which is a different answer than what I would get if I had used order of operation correctly. On this problem, we have to add first. So we get 3, and then you square it, because the squared symbol is outside the parentheses. So we have to add first, then square. And let's do the same thing here. So 2, and then square that. And then divide by 2. So we have to do the work of the exponents first. So 9 times by 4 divided by 2. Now we work from left to right. If we don't do that, we'll get a different answer. And so 9 times 4 makes 36 divided by 2, and that gives me the 18. So let's take a look at our next type of problem, different set of directions. Here we're going to insert grouping symbols to make the statement true. So I'd always first look to see what you get without order of operation. And so if I do that, you see here I have 9, and over here I would have 2, and here I'd have 18, and those numbers are not going to add to make 38. So what I need to do, and I'll just go ahead and add them real quick, they make 29 when I add them. So I need to make the number bigger. And so what I need to do is I need to be able to maybe square a number so that is either bigger, or maybe I need to get the multiplication done prior to, or some addition done prior to some multiplication. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. And now you can do, remember, the numbers are not going to change order. It's just putting parentheses around different sets of values. So let's take a look at our first one here. You can put parentheses around the 18 and the 2. But if I do this, that makes 20. And I end up here with 20, and here I end up with just 10, or I might end up with 16. Either way you do it, it's still not going to give us the right answer. So you just keep on working the problem until you find out the way it ends up working. So let's try this. Let's try adding these two numbers together first. Let's see what happens when we do that. And so if we do that, let me go ahead and erase what we had done before, since we know that doesn't work. And we'll go ahead and square first, then add. And so typically we'd have to multiply the 2 and the 1. But here I'm going to square and then add. And so what I have now is 18 plus 2 times by, and this makes 9 plus 1. And so I do some more work, 18 plus 2, and this makes 10. And so when I go ahead and multiply, see then now the 2 needs to be multiplied by the sum. That makes 20 plus 18. And that does equal 38. So that's the answer. So the parentheses had to go around the 1 and the 3 squared. So again, it's just a matter of trying to figure out where these parentheses go. You just have to try a few different ways until you get it to work. Like for instance here, if I go without parentheses, I have 42 minus 12 plus 1. Well, I have to subtract here, and I end up with 30 plus 1 makes 31. Well, it's close, but not quite enough. So I need to be able to take more away from the 42 than just this 12 and then add the 1. So maybe I need to end up putting some parentheses and make this number a little bigger. So let's try that. Let's try putting the 4 and the 1 in parentheses. So we know this part's wrong, so let's go ahead and erase that. And when I do this, I would have to add these two numbers together first. So let's rewrite what we've got. And this makes now 15. And we know this is 42 minus, now it's not 15, so I was thinking of the number that I needed there. Let's try that again. So 4 plus 1 is not 15, but just 5. And so from there, now I can multiply the 3 and the 5, and I get that 15. And when I do that subtraction, hey, I do end up with 27. So that does end up working. So this is our answer right here. So you're just figuring out where those parentheses go. Let's take a look at the next one. This one says 4 times 2. So again, I like to just go ahead and figure out what it is without the parentheses first to see what I might end up doing. Well, here I have a problem. Remember, I'm trying to get 6. Well, when I do this, I'm going to end up having to divide, but I have to divide by 9. And 4 doesn't go into 9. I'm going to start getting fractions here. So I need to figure out, I think the parentheses need to go somewhere in this region here with these first 3 terms, because I need to make it so that 9 goes into that number. Now when I look at it, I can go 2 minus 2 squared, but that doesn't give me a number that 9 goes into. 4 times 2 minus the 2 squared doesn't give me a number that 9 goes into. So maybe what we need to do is put parentheses around this part right here. Leave the squared symbol on the outside. Let's try that. And so let's go ahead and erase this part. I know it's not right. And I know I need to get 9 to go into this number. So let's see what happens. 4 times 2 is 8 minus 2 gives me 6. Ooh, that's good because 6 is a number that 3 goes into. So, and if I square the 6, I end up with 36. Even better, that's what I wanted because now I've got a number that 9 goes into. And so I go ahead and do that work. 36 divided by 9 makes 4. 4 plus 2, yes, that does make 6. So it does end up working out. So there is our answer. Looking at the next one, it says a group of students charges $7 to clean the exterior and $6 to clean the interior of a car. They clean 9 exteriors, 5 interiors. Simplify the expression. So here's actually the expression that represents this problem. $7 times the number of exteriors they end up cleaning. So $7 is the price of the exteriors they clean. So 7 times 9 plus $6 cost of cleaning an interior times the number of interiors they cleaned, 5. So let's do that work. Let's go ahead and figure out how much money they raised. So let's multiply these two terms. Makes 63 plus, multiply those two, we end up with 30. We add that stuff together, and that gives us $93 is the amount that they ended up making. Let's take a look at our next one. Ariel has $65, and she buys 5 books that cost $8, so that's where the 5 times 8 comes in, and a bookmark that costs $2, so plus $2, and a magazine that costs $4. So we want to find out how much she has left over. Notice the 65's out here, and we're subtracting all this. So we got to do all this work first. Find out how much did she spend. So we got to do the work inside the parentheses. That makes 40 plus 2 plus 4. And so that's now 65 minus 42. Okay, let's go ahead and change that right now. So that's going to be 42 plus 4. And so we'll go ahead and finish off that math inside the parentheses. Then it makes 46. And so when we go ahead and do the subtraction of these two numbers, we end up with 19. So $19 left is what Ariel has. Well, those are the types of problems you're going to see on tonight's homework. Good luck.